like to join our energy together as one, unified one. One heart, one love. So we're going to take a nice deep inhale, remembering that that breath starts beneath the belly button. Pull it through the waist, the stomach, the chest, and release with a sigh. And as I mention a body part, allow not only your breath, but your awareness to go right to that space. We are tapping into intention tonight so that we can completely expand our hearts in gratitude, but also the right intention in giving. So that way, our co-creator in acts of devotion becomes spirit, source, energy, divinity. And so the reciprocity then is divinity. We're not expecting any kind of exchange, earthly exchange, for the things that we give as an act of devotion. It is in the very act of giving, when it is aligned with your heart, that we are simultaneously receiving. So as I mentioned earlier, that the acts of giving that are altruistic or pleasure-seeking, so to speak, trigger that dopamine release in the brain. And so that's really not a selfless act of giving at all. It's giving either out of duty or desire to receive appreciation or praise. And so what we want to do is drop that energy into our heart center and align with the highest aspects of giving. And so it's giving in a ceaseless way from our divine spirit, from our infinite pool of love. And so we must always be very intentional and also clear on who we are giving to, why we are giving, not in a logical way of explaining it with the brain. So just connecting with that energy right now, that's the level of awareness I want you to maintain for this meditation. That infusing everything with love, so it will never lack clarity. It will never lack depth. It will never lack understanding. So let's bring our breath and awareness into our feet. From the heels to the tips of the toes, through the arches and the tops of the feet. Feel the full weight of the feet anchoring the body. Immediately feeling that beautiful tingling, vibration, waves of warmth moving through the feet, and a desire to move upward through the body. Remembering that we animate the body, but we are never confined by it. And so moving over the ankles into the shins and calves, feeling a gentle tug at your knees as the entire lower legs are completely relaxed. And then from the knees to the hips, softening the thighs, releasing any heavy energy, any stagnancy out of the thighs. Gifting yourself support, holding yourself through that release. The releasing of the urge to brace yourself, the releasing of the urge to guard, to stay tense. And that is a protection mechanism. So reminding yourself, I am safe in this body. I am safe to soften. And allowing the breath to just dance in that space between the hips and the knees. And when you really let go, you'll feel the glutes become soft. And it will feel as if your hips are rolling open. Breathing into the left hip and into the right hip as the breath just spills in over the pelvic floor. Filling that bowl of the pelvis. Filling the lower abdomen with breath and awareness. It is our breath that draws spirit into the biological suit. So breathing deeply and intentionally this way fills the body with spirit. And so if there's any space in your body where it feels a little harder to breathe, that is the space where you have more emotion stored, more trauma stored away, and it's making it hard for the breath to get into that space. And so if you come across that resistance or tightness, take a nice inhale and hold it for at least a count of 2, and then allow that exhale to just leave your body with a sigh. Allowing the exhale to be longer and slower than the inhale. Every inhale filling the body with spirit, and every exhale just ushering up and out of the body anything that no longer serves you. So old judgments, old grief, shame, guilt, fear, jealousy, let it all go away. Breathing in spirit, remembering that spirit is synonymous with truth, is synonymous with love. So we are breathing in love and exhaling all the heaviness, inhaling truth, exhaling all the judgment, filling your body with truth. stretching to the left and the right, and feeling the breath deeper and easier, moving into the high stomach, right in the center of that high gut, breathing out any tension and softening all of that lower edge of the rib cage. Breathing into the left in that minor chakra of the spleen. Breathing all the way into the right, the liver. And that minor chakra in the liver is where we process rage. So just breathing out any agitation that's been coming up, any tension, tightness, feeling it all just dissipating. And now allowing that breath to pour into the chest, behind the rib cage, moving up the sternum to the collarbone, and feeling all of the bones in your rib cage pliable. They no longer feel stiff and confining. You can feel them actually expanding with every breath, like an accordion, and contracting with every exhale. Feeling the breath with each inhale, less and less effort exerted for a full and deep breath. Going up the spine now to the base of the neck, and just releasing that upper middle back. All of that tightness and burning just melting out of your back into the floor. And feeling the shoulders release. Rolling open, much the same way the hips did, and falling away from your ears. And so the chest is completely soft, and from the neck all the way to the tips of the toes, the body is at peace. The body is soft. And now moving up the neck, softening the throat, and feeling every breath moving in and out of the body with so little effort. Remembering that the inhale is shorter than the exhale, so allowing that exhale to extend longer and longer with each breath. And then softening around the ears and the jaw, the chin and the mouth, softening the tongue, unclenching the jaw, the cheekbones and around the nose, the temples and around the eyes, between the eyebrows, softening the forehead, the top of the head, so the entire weight of the head is anchoring the top of the body. So now from the crown to the tips of the toes, feeling as if you're just being held on a cloud. The body is at peace. The mind is still. So moving now down the shoulders into the triceps and biceps, the elbows, the forearms, the wrists, the backs of the hands and the palms, into every fingertip. Intention is born of two places. One, the mind, the ego. The other is the heart center, the spirit. When your intention is heart-based, that is an act of devotion. And so I want you now to imagine that you have a nose in the center of your chest. And so every breath that you draw into the body passes first through the center of the heart. We are awakening this energetic center. The heart chakra is the only chakra that is infinite. These are empty turbines that push and pull energy. But the heart is actually a portal. It is how we jump timelines. It is how we transcend these current experiences. It is also how we tap into and are informed by our infinite source. So it is what creates oneness out of our unique expressions. You are a fraction of a whole, but you are complete and whole as that fraction. Much like a slice of pie. You are a beautiful and whole slice of that pie. And you are a part of the pie. But your slice is not identical or even like any other slice. But the pie can only be whole if your whole slice is returned. And that's exactly how unity consciousness works. So it is our greatest challenge to become whole in our human. And the way to do that is to embody our heart center. What is the unique endowment of divinity that desires to move through your human? And we can only know that if we are connected to our heart, because our heart taps in to truth, remembering that spirit is synonymous with truth, is synonymous with love. If you think before you speak, or think before you act, that is based off of memory, and it is already expired. That is an ego-based act, and the ego only desires to glorify itself. So every act committed is solely to seek self-glorification. So if you give something to someone, you're actually attempting to achieve praise, appreciation, love, validation, possibly giving as a manipulation, so there will be a gain of power. And so we must be so aware, because those behaviors are subconscious, they're based in our trauma, and they can happen so covertly. The only way for us to be aware is to be heart-centered. When we give from our heart, we are not seeking any reparations, reciprocity, appraisal, praise, validation, glorification. We solely desire to do a thing. And when we give as an act of devotion, which is giving from our divine intention instead of ego intention, that cultivates peace, but also cultivates wholeness. Because as you give, you immediately, simultaneously receive from Source. The reciprocity is a deeper connection with divinity. So by the very act of devotion, you become more whole. It goes against everything the ego believes. The ego believes that in the act of giving, there is sacrifice. There are concessions. There is loss. And that is why it expects some payment, either by validation, love, reciprocity, power, payment, exchange. And so we are breathing into the heart space right now to seek the lies that live in your body. Lies around giving and receiving. For instance, if you receive a gift and then store in the back of your mind the idea that you owe that person, you actually rob that person of the glorification of giving, the gratification of giving. And perhaps you could feel that their intention was ego-based all along. I invite you in your heart space to seek your ability to receive. Know that you are love. And every act of abundance poured on you is grace. And grace can come by many ways. Through many messengers. When you ask or keep tallies in receiving, that is actually an act of resistance. And the message that you send to Source is you do not believe yourself worthy of grace. So I want you in this moment to forgive yourself. These are lies born of pain, of confusing situations, of codependent or toxic experiences, traumatic experiences. So forgive yourself for storing lies in your awareness. And allow the heart breath now to wrap around that energy. Feeling with every inhale, it's wrapping and wrapping and wrapping like a mummy. And every exhale, it constricts. So this space gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Until at last, this old energy can be lifted up and out of the body with an exhale. So allow that exhale to be a really robust sigh to lift that energy up and out of the body. And when we release that old lie, we can then see how we project that onto our experiences, how we expect others to immediately appreciate our giving, to immediately praise us for our generosity. To also have the desire to reciprocate our giving, because that is what we feel in our lack of ability to receive. So I want you now to envision someone whom you projected this lie onto, where you immediately set the expectation that they should be giving to you, that they should be reciprocating and exchanging and praising and appreciating. Forgive them. And once again, forgive yourself. This will expand your heart into the newness of devotion. Devotion is such a foreign concept for humanity, especially today. Devotion is a deep, inherent desire to do a thing for the sake of love and love only. It is doing a thing not for love, but in the name of love. Which creates freedom. No one loses their sovereignty in an act of devotion. There is no sacrifice for the giver. There is no bondage for the receiver. There is only love and liberation. That is grace. Feel how your heart expands, because your heart already knows this. It's not a knowing, K-N-O-W-I-N-G. It is gnosis, G-N-O-S-I-S. It is such an inherent and divine law that resides in our wisdom. So I want you now to say thank you to yourself for the willingness to expand your awareness, for the willingness to open your heart, for the willingness to release old, self-deprecating, self-abandoning habits. And I want you now, you can say it aloud or to yourself. Say, I love you, and say your name. And feel how you are liberated in that reclamation. Becoming more whole in this act of connection. More embodied, more conscious. And so I want you to lay and bask in this heart energy. I'm going to walk around with some Palo Santo, and I just want you to feel how empowered this makes you, and how every relationship that is currently in your life will be elevated, reclaiming this wisdom. And just at your own pace, reconnecting your senses. Your sense of smell, hearing, feeling. And gently reanimating your body, wiggling your fingers and your toes. And at your own pace, opening and uncovering your eyes. And gently, gently coming to a seated position. Take your time. Don't sit too quickly. It's an honor holding space for you. I love you.